Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to continue sorting out the bodywork issues on the Astra, including this damage here on this wing. So those of you that have been following the channel from the beginning will know when I bought this Astra twin top, there were a few little cosmetic issues. Now the worst one was this damage here on the wing. I don't know if you can see it on the camera because it is quite bright. Now when I did the engine and I had the wheel arch liner out, I did knock this out a little bit. So it's a slightly better, but it's cracked the paintwork quite badly, as you can see, just there. And unfortunately, you can see the line in the wheel arch there, that it's actually gone over onto the top of it. So my plan is to spray up to this swage line here and try and blend it in to this line here all the way around. It's also caught the bumper just there, a couple of little places just there and a little bit further down there. So I'm going to try and blend that, follow that same line down all the way down to here, and then probably along the bottom of the bumper and sort of try and fade it out here somewhere. But we'll see how we get on. Also the wing mirror covers, now that one I don't think is too bad actually. I thought that was quite badly scratched, but it's not too bad at all. Let's just wander around to the other side. This one I know for definite is scratched. So the driver's side one, it's got some nasty gouges there. Someone's tried to touch it up a bit there with a pen, so we'll address that. Just trying to think where else there was some. There's some scuffing on here, so I might just try and machine polish that out, although they are quite deep. So maybe that's going to want a little repair there. Maybe a wet sand and a polish might sort things out. I did catch the bumper if you watched last week's episode. Where I was restoring the headlights, I did actually manage to catch the bumper a little bit with the sandpaper there, but that'll polish out. And then the other issues we've got are, I think there's a little mark on here somewhere, though I can't see it now. There's a few scratches around the door handle, but again, hopefully they'll machine polish out. You can see those in there, little scratch mark there. Oh yeah, there's a little, just here, there's a little little scuff there. I'm not going to paint all that, just for that little scuff. We'll touch that in, or polish it up. I think that rear corner is okay. Looks alright. And then this rear corner here is some damage on the trim there, so that wants painting. That's going to be quite easy to spray, I think, because we've got that whole piece that can be sprayed in. Probably even take that off the bumper, but it's not worth it. We'll just mask up and paint that. The unfortunate thing is it has just caught the bumper there, so again that's going to want to be sprayed. It's too deep not to be sprayed. It's only a tiny little mark, but yeah, I don't know, we'll see that one. And also there's a little piece down here as well, little mark on the bumper there, so I want to get those sorted. There's a couple of scratches up here I've just noticed too. And the other thing is the rear light has got some cracks in it. Hope you can see those there on camera. There's one there and another one just there, and that apparently was down to a cyclist running into the back of the car. So the previous owner told me. You'll probably find that maybe that was caused at the same time, I don't know. Down this side I think we're pretty straight. Again, can't really see down here. I'm up against a hedge, so it's a little bit tight, but I think we're all right down there. But we'll end up spinning the car around and having a look at that. So I think what we'll do for the first bit of paint work, because I haven't painted for years, I've got all the stuff. I've got blending thinners, I've got clear coat, I've got, you name it, I've got it. I know what to do. It's just whether I've got the skill to do it. So I think the good thing to do will be to start on this one. Obviously we're not going to blend this, we'll just scuff the whole cover up, and get that get that painted in. Now I think, yeah, this will just pop off. Some of the clips are a little bit damaged, I've noticed, but that means replacing the whole mirror, and it's not an expensive car, so I'm not going to bother doing that. We're just going to repair this damage on the end here and see how we get on. So first thing I'm going to do is attack these scratches here with some P400 wet and dry. I'm going to use it dry just to try and get the worst of these marks out. Yeah, the rest of it seems to be quite reasonable. Obviously we've got that paint touch up there, you can see that a bit closer now, that someone's had a go at before, and these two rather nasty graunches. I'm hoping we're going to get away with not filling those, but we'll see what happens, so let's give that a go. So I'll just quickly show you the progress on that. These are quite deep graunches. To get that sanded out is going to mean taking all the paint off, I think, right back, because that's gone back to bare plastic. So I think we're going to put a little tiny skim of stopper filler in there, knifing putty, just to take out those blemishes. Just here I've taken it back there, which is where that overspray was. If you look really closely there, you can still see some shine, which indicates that the middle bit there is still higher where it's taken the paint off and the outside is lower. So I'm just going to rub this back a little bit more and try and get that flat so it's all one sanded out colour, and then we'll stick some knifing stopper in there and see how we get on. Okay, so I've sanded that back a bit further now there, as you can see. Now it does still look a little bit silvery in there, but I can't feel any of that mark there now, any of the scratches there at all. So that's quite smooth, but these here, as you can hear, are right deep, and I can actually get my finger in those. So what we're going to do is get a little bit of knifing putty, knifing stopper, and just put that in there, and then sand it back. So first things first, I'm just going to give the whole area, in fact the whole cover, a wipe down with some panel white, just to get it. It wasn't the best thing to do, drop them on the floor, just to get all the grease and then polish or anything off of it. And obviously the sanding residue from where we sanded it. So while that's drying off, I'll just show you what I'm going to use. I'm going to use this Catalloy knifing putty. Just bought that from, if you're in the UK, from a local Halfords, but I'm sure you can get it from any motor factors in the UK. If we look at the instructions on the back, it says ideal for filling stone chips and scratches. Yep, says at the top there, look. So that's what we're going to do. Need to leave it 30 minutes, put it on thin coats, leave it 30 minutes between coats to dry before sanding and priming. So let's get that out of the packet. So it's just a little tube, you don't need to mix any hardener or anything with this. It's just air drying. Got the little piercing thing in the end there to pierce the foil, and we'll just do that. Check our panel has dried off, which it hasn't quite yet, so we'll just leave that a few minutes longer, and we'll be back with the putty. Okay, so that's dried off nicely now. I'm just going to put a little bit of the putty on there because there's a little bit oozing out of the packet, just a tiny little amount. And what I'm using is a very fine filler knife. I'm just going to spread that in those scratches. What you want to do is get it on as thin as you can, but keep it as proud, just keep it a little bit proud of the scratches. I feel that's starting to go off already. Obviously the less you put on, the less you've got to sand off, but obviously also you want to put enough on to fill the scratches. Right, so I'm happy with that for a first coat. We're going to leave that for 30 minutes to dry, and then we'll come back and sand it off and see what it looks like. Okay, so it's been about half an hour now, and I've left it to dry off in the sun. It's quite a warm day out today, so I've left it in the sun to dry off. As you can see, it's nice and dry. Seems to have filled all the scratches, so I'm now going to knock that back a little bit, and I'm going to use a slightly finer P800 wet and dry to do this. I'm going to do it dry again. So you'll have to excuse if you hear knocking in the background, because my next door neighbours are having some renovation work done. So yeah, let's just rub that back. We'll do that live on camera, so I don't think it's going to take a lot. Okay, so it's quite a bit harder than I thought it was. I thought it was going to be a bit easier to rub back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the 400 grit. I've got that right way, that way, P400, and just knock that back a little bit more. So really, I guess what we want to do is take that back far enough so that we don't actually see any filler on here, so that we just actually see it in the grooves itself. In the scratches rather, not the grooves. Although there were grooves, but they hurt. So it does actually feel quite good just there. I'm going to concentrate a little bit up this end. So now we can see the grooves coming through. The grooves, keep going, the grooves, the scratches coming through just there. Need to get that little piece out of there. Should have perhaps scraped that out while it was wet. Let's just sand that out. Get all that off. Okay, it's got that. If you look there very, very close, I don't know if you can see that on camera, just where are we, just there, you can see that lighter line is where the filler was, the shiny bit. So I'm going to rub that back so that's gone. As you can see, the paper's getting quite clogged up because it's been used dry, so I'm just going to fold that over so we get a fresh bit. See there now that we've actually gone through to the plastic, so I probably don't want to sand too much more there. Probably still a little bit higher there. Can't really see that, sorry. Rubbish camera angle. There we go. A little bit high there, so I'm going to take a little bit more off of that. Obviously, if I was doing a bigger repair area on a panel or something, we'd use a sanding block to flatten this off. But because of the curved shape and it's a very small area, it's not really worth doing it with a block. You can get your fingers in there and get it a little bit more accurate as to what you're doing. So I'm thinking that that's probably was a couple of high spots there, because if you look, we've taken it back there to the plastic on the edge, right on the edge there, and the black plastic there. So I'm thinking that we've probably flattened that back. That was probably a little bit dented in. That's why you can still see that strip of filler there. It feels really smooth. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to finish it off lightly with the P800. Just give it a little bit of a better sanding, and just try and feather out some of these sanding marks here, these edges. Okay, that feels really good, feels really smooth. I can't feel any marks in there. Well, I'm just wondering, just there. Don't know whether I'll put enough filler in there, or whether I can feel an edge. Let's just give it another blend over and see what, another sand over and see what happens. If we need to put a little bit more in, we do. Yeah, you can just feel it, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. So what I'm going to do is give that the whole thing now a scuff down, because obviously we've got this gloss area here. So I'm just going to scuff the whole thing down over with probably a Scotch pad or something, just to give the gloss paint there a key, and then we'll put some primer on it. So these are the I call them Scotch pads. I think it's just a brand name. These are the pads, nylon pads that I'm using, nylon abrasive pads, and it's got on there, if you look on there, it tells you the green is prep, so that's coarse, the medium is primer, and the fine is for paint. So because we're going to paint over, we've already sanded down the damaged area there with some quite coarse-ish 800 grit wet and dry. This bit obviously is now prepped for paint. Obviously we're going to put some primer on here, but this bit will just be for painting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the fine one, the grey coloured one, just to give this paintwork a key. So we've got one of those out. I suppose what I should do really is cut a piece of this off, but I'm just going to use a corner of it. So I'm going to give this whole area a good key up, the whole panel a key up, the cover a key up with this grey one, which is a fine one. It's quite hard work, it's harder work than I thought, but what we're trying to achieve is a completely matte finish on here. As you can see, that's coming on. Getting the key on there, so we'll carry on with the rest of the cover, and I'll cut back in when that's done. Okay, so as you can see, I've scuffed all that up. It's pretty evenly matte all over. Bit of shine coming off it because it's on the light, but the light shining on it on the camera, but it is pretty matte all over. Pay particular attention to the edges, just to make sure that we get good adhesion on the edges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some primer on it now, just these bits here, just blend it over a little bit. And what I'm using for this is I've got some plastic primer, again bought from Halfords, which is a UK automotive accessories and parts place. Using the plastic primer, I probably don't need to actually, because the only bit of exposed plastic we've got is there, and the rest of it's just standard paint, so we could probably have got away with using an ordinary grey primer. But I bought this, and yeah, we might as well do it. I'm not sure I can get this on camera painting it, but giving this a good shake for 10 or 15 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, just to make sure it's well mixed up. And yeah, let's see if we can get some primer on this without getting it everywhere. So this is the first time I've sprayed for a hell of a long while, but we'll see how it goes. So what you really want to do is just get a few thin coats on. I've just given it a quick blast. That's probably a little bit too much for the first coat, but we just let that flash off for a few seconds, a minute or so. You can see it's quite warm actually. I can see that drying, so I'm just going to give it another little blast. Okay, it looks pretty good. We'll let that dry off a little bit, and then we'll come back in and have a look and see what it looks like. Okay, so primer's gone off. I've given it 2 or 3 coats, and as you can see, you can't see those scratches through there anymore. So that's looking pretty good. So what I'm going to do quickly is I'm just going to give it with the old grey fine Scotch pad again. Just give it a quick rub over that primer just to sort of denib it, just to get it nice and smooth. Make sure there's not pressing too hard, because I don't want to go through it. Just want to take any maybe little bits of dirt that might have got in there off of it. Maybe just give it a bit of a rub down there just to blend it into the rest of the cap. Okay, that feels good. I'm just going to wipe it off with some more panel wipe, and then we'll look at putting some top coat on it. Okay, so I've given that a little wipe over with the Scotch pad, like we said, and wiped it down with some panel wipe. In fact, you can't really see the primer too much on there. It looks pretty much like the colour. So I bought this paint online, so it hasn't actually been colour matched to the vehicle. It's just off the paint code, which is 21C. Hoping it's going to match. I've not even looked at it yet to see, but hopefully it's okay. I'm going to give this a light dusting, let it tack off, then another light dusting, and then just build up the layers, because you don't want to put it on thickly, too thickly to begin with, otherwise you're going to get runs in it. This is a base coat colour, so it won't have that much gloss on it when it's dry, and then when it has dried, we will use the clear lacquer. So I bought both of these online as a kit. Got no idea how good they are, but hopefully they'll be alright. There are a few little marks in here still, a couple of little stone chips on the, I think you can see them on camera, but just there's one, and there's another one just there. Little stone chips, but like I say, it's what is it, 20, no not 20, about 15 years old, the car now. And it's not immaculate, it's going to have a few little battle scars on it, but just doing this to sort of try and tidy it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this round to face me so I can see better what I'm doing. And yeah, let's get some top coat on it, or rather should I say base coat. Well, the good news is it looks the right colour. Light misting on there, let it tack off a little bit. Just going to turn it round a little bit so I can see the end. This end here is the end we've primed and repaired. Give it another little. That's probably enough for now, I think. Looks like it just might be ready to run in places, especially on this top area here. Just going to give it another little bit. Just there, on the top surface. going to leave that now, let that flash off for 10 or 15 minutes, maybe give it another little coat. There's a little bit of weirdness going on here with the metallics. Maybe I'll put it on a bit thick, and again down here. The good news is I don't think you can see the, pretty sure you can't see the repair down this corner. I don't want to touch it and pick it up now while the paint's wet. But yeah, doesn't look too bad. Let that dry off a little bit and then have another look at it when it's dried off. So I don't know what's going on with my camera. I think it's shut off again, and you might have missed that again, the whole painting process. But however, put another couple of coats on. It all seems to have blended in all right. It all seems nice and even. So we're just going to let that flash off for another 15 minutes, and hopefully next time when we do the clear coat, we'll end up getting it on camera. Okay, so while the paint's flashing off on the wing mirror cover, I thought what we do is we change the rear light. So as you can see, I bought a new one here, well, a second-hand one. Got it from off eBay. I think it was about £35 delivered. Obviously we're replacing this one here. The reason being, as we've already pointed out, is the cracks there. See here, this is Sahara desert sand from when we had a storm a few weeks ago, and it brought down a lot of this orange sand. So to get this headlight out, it's quite simple. Just here, this little thumb screw, and there's another one down there as well. So if we zoom out, you can sort of see where they're related. One's there, the other one's up here behind the boot bracket. We just need to unscrew those, and we should just be able to pop the headlight out, and then there'll be the rear light out, and then there'll be a connector that we'll need to disconnect. Okay, so I've taken both those thumb screws out somewhere. Where are they? There, you can see one there, and the other one is up there. Take both those out. This is the same procedure that you'd use if you were changing a bulb. So I think now if we just get underneath there and lift that and give it a pull, out it comes. And in the back here, we've got a little connector just there. It's got a little lever on the side, and if we push that in, we should, struggling to do this one-handed, just be able to disconnect that. I'll probably do it off camera, but I need both hands, one to hold the light and one to hold the connector, but you get the idea. Show it again once we've got it off. Okay, dead easy once you've got the got both hands to do it with. So all we did there was just nip that in, and that just opens that. Oops, you can't see it, can you? It just opens that little clip up on the end there, and we can pull the connector off. So this is what we're left with on the back of the headlight. Same connector on there. So this is exactly the same procedure you'd do if you was going to change the bulbs. But what you need to do to change the bulbs is you need to pop this little piece out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do that. You've got two little clips there, one there, one there. Again, trying to do it one-handed, and I think one there. Probably do it with the off camera just to get down. We'll just check we've got some bulbs in that light before we put it all back in, and plug it in and see if it works. So I've got that off now. Unclipped from there and there. Just one thing to be careful of is getting this little rubber gasket off. It is what waterproof seals the connector and everything in, so you want to try not to damage that. That's off the second hand light, and that's been damaged a little bit up that top right hand corner. And I think also, yeah, the one off the old light is damaged a little bit there, so you just need to be careful with that. We'll pop this off. Should just lift this out now, and we've got bulbs in every position. I'm just looking at the elements on them. I think they all look pretty good, so we'll pop that back in, pop the gasket on, and pop it back in the car. So something else just worth noting, when you put these back together, there's a little peg there the rubber bung on it, and that's got to go in that little hole there before you push the headlight back. So let's get that done. Right, so that's the replacement rear light fitted. As you can see, put the little nuts back on, little plastic nuts back on, the other one's up there. Just a little point to mention with this, and it caught me out, is the rear fog light wouldn't work, which if you look down there, I don't know if you can see it through there, it's the bulb right at this end of the light. That one there wouldn't work. And I've since found out, doing a bit of research online, that the Astra in the UK, well, I don't know, it's probably in both countries, but obviously the passenger side in the UK, even though the bulb and everything's there, isn't wired up to work. Apparently it's something to do with masking your brake light, so you only have one on the driver's side, even though it looks like you've got one on both sides. And yeah, so don't get caught out like I did. I've just spent about 10 or 15 minutes messing around, and then I seem to remember something about them not actually having a working fog light on the passenger side here in the UK. I'm not sure if that's the same for what would be the passenger side over this side in Europe. But apparently they just fit the same lights to all models of car. The only one fog light works on the driver's offside light. So just remember that if you are changing those, that the rear fog light doesn't work on the, it's not wired up to work on the passenger side in the UK. So that's the lights done. We'll get back to having a look at this paint and get ready to put the top coat on. Okay, back to painting this again. The base coat has dried. It looks pretty good. You can still see a couple of little stone chips that were there, and a little bit of those scratches. I don't know if you can pick them up on camera. It's not perfect. I think when I do the bumpers and the and that dent in the front wing, I'm going to take a little bit more care over it. This is just a wing mirror cover. It looks a lot better than it did, and hopefully it'll look even better when I get the clear coat on. So let's get that on now. Put this into a position where I can paint it. That's the clear Promatic clear coat. Again, that came with the paint from the same place online. So yeah, I've given it a good shake for a few minutes. So hopefully that'll be mixed up well now. So what I'm going to do is just give it a very, very light dusting. Let that tack off. Apparently you do that and it just gets into the paintwork and gives the full coat something to stick to. So let's get on with that, give that a try. I'll just give it a little, so I'm literally going to just give it a dusting. Let that tack off for a minute. That's got quite a wide spray pattern on that nozzle. Yeah, guess for a good reason. Don't know how long to give that really. Probably a minute or so. Thing with doing the clear coat, obviously you don't want to put it down too thickly in one coat, but if you get several thick coats built up, then what will happen is if you have got some orange peel in it or some little bits of dirt and stuff in it, you can rub it back with some very, very fine sort of 2500 3000 grit wet and dry, get all the little blemishes out of it, and then polish it up with some polishing compound. I don't think it's going to be necessary on this wing mirror cover. Like I say, I'm not going to worry about it too much, as it's just a wing mirror cover, but it looks a lot better than it did, which I'm very, very pleased about. Let's give that another few seconds to flash off. Looks a bit dry maybe around this corner, maybe there. I'll get a little I'm quite happy with that. It's coming out quite nicely. I'm just going to give it another little dusting, particularly over this top bit here. Okay, now if that doesn't run, that is going to look extremely good. I'm very pleased with that. I think we'll leave it there and we'll come back to it in a little while. Looks like I've got a couple of little bits of dirt in the clear coat, one bit there and one bit there, but yeah, let's leave it at that, and we'll come back to it in a minute and see how good it looks. Okay, so I've left this about 15 minutes to dry off. It is just about touch dry. I'm going to risk lifting it up to show you guys. Yeah, it looks all right. There's a couple of little pieces of dirt in it, just there, another bit there, and then looks like there's been some sort of reaction just here where we did the repair, but it doesn't look too bad. Yeah, I think it's good. I'm quite pleased with it. As I say, it's a 15-year-old car. It's not got to be perfect. That, from a distance, looks a hell of a lot better than it did before we painted it. So I'm quite pleased with that. What I will do is take a bit of extra care when I do the wing and the bumpers, and just make sure everything's sealed properly. So I'm not sure what's gone on there. There is just a little bit of paint reaction. I don't know if you can catch it on the camera. It's a little bit of blistering there, but all in all it looks good. I mean, you know, you view that from a distance and it looks good. So yeah, I'm happy with that. So I hope you've all enjoyed this video. In the next one we'll try and get on to doing some of the more major bodywork repairs. Might just give this a little polish up at some point, but yeah, hope you like the video. If you're just a casual viewer and you're just popping by, please subscribe down below, and like and share. Be much appreciated. Help the channel grow a little bit. Planning on trying to bring you a bit more content this year than I have done over the last couple of years. So with that, I'll say goodbye and catch you in the next one.